It's hard to see. Hello, my name is Brian Lamoni.
I'm Sarah Lamoni, and we're foster and adoptive parents.
When the foster care process started for our family, we were sitting in the Lowtons' living room, some dear friends of ours, and Sarah was really excited to share that we were beginning and we had actually signed up for our first foster care class. And I remember Aaron coming back to me months later and just saying, you know, you've changed. Because when we were sharing this story, I was having a trepidation. It's almost like I had 1 foot in but 1 foot out so I could actually run, because I had so many questions. But fast forward 2.5 years later, God has done an amazing thing, and we've cared for 3 foster kids, and we've adopted Alex, and we're looking forward to the time where there'll be more kids.
I wish I had the eloquent words to really share my heart for adoption and foster care, because it's been so ingrained in me over the years, and I just know that that's God just speaking into my life and just showing me the needs that are there. And I just want to express to everyone about how much need is there, and that you don't have to be a certain person or live a certain way or have certain traits in order to be called to it. And not everyone's called to bring children into their home. Some people are called to support those who are doing that. But there's so many people that feel that tugging on their heart, but they have fears that they can't do it. And so I just challenge you, when you feel that, to really question, is that really God calling me to do this? Is the fear stopping me, preventing me from following God's leading in this? I think some of the best moments for me are just the day-to-day stuff that we all take for granted. Sitting around the dining room table, eating dinner together and just talking about the day, or having Alex or Anna or Ellie walk through the door and be excited to share what happened in school that day. And knowing that as a family we get to share that together, and that they get to be excited to share it with someone, and that I'm there excited to hear from them about their day.
Hi, I'm Scott Littleton.
And I'm Erin Littleton, and we're adoptive parents. I've had a history of orphan care for pretty much my whole life. My parents started doing foster care with DSS when I was 2 or 3, proceeded to do an international adoption, and then a domestic adoption. So both of my younger siblings were adopted. And it's just always been something that's kind of on my heart.
We met when we were both in college, and got engaged, and we set a wedding date, and I guess like 6 months after we were married, we were on a plane to go work at an orphanage in Uganda, which is in Africa, and met 2 children who God called us to adopt, adopted them, and we've been in the orphan care world ever since.
One of the challenges that's on the forefront of my mind as it relates to adoption and orphan care is just the vast number of children who have need, and kind of where to start with that. But I think the key to that is to start where you are, and to start with one, and to take a step with the one, and if you're faithful in that, then God will open the doors and lead you to your next step.
Hello, my name is Carla Swaim, and I'm a Child Protective Services social worker. God called me at first to care for orphans. Actually, in my early 20s, I just didn't realize it at the time, when I started working with children in mental health services. And I began working with children who had families, but also several children who didn't have families. And it was an area that I didn't realize that I wanted to be in or wanted to work in until I started working with those children in that setting. As a social worker and as a professional, I have worked as a foster care worker, where I worked with children who had no families to help them find families. And currently what I do is more to try to help keep children from becoming orphans by working closely with their families to help keep their families together So we have less orphans and children who don't have homes and don't have families. One myth that I've seen about orphan care is that all orphans or children that need to be adopted are young children, little children, and there are more teenagers that need homes and families than any other age group.
Hello, my name is Ellie, and I'm a foster care. My mother and I used to move a lot growing up, and in the year 2006, my dad got custody of me, and I lived with him for a year. After he passed away, I went to go back to live with my mother, and I lived with her for about 3.5 years before God decided it was time for us to part. On April 24th, he introduced me to a new home. Needless to say, it didn't work out well, and by the end of June, I began to find out what it really meant to have a family. I was introduced to my new foster care parents, Brian and Sarah, and I've been the happiest I've ever been. In the past 1.5 years, I've smiled more than I have my entire life. For a few months, I'd been going to church with Sarah and Brian, and I never really cared for the whole God thing. I thought it was pointless, and it was just something that people had used to put their faith in. But one day, I remember the band played a song, and it touched my heart so strongly that I just started crying and crying and crying, and I could not stop, and I couldn't figure out why. And even after the service, I was crying on the way home. And when I got home, when I finally stopped, I could almost feel the weight on my shoulders being lifted, and I could feel the presence of Jesus. And that was the most wonderful moment of my entire life. To visit orphans and widows in trouble and to keep oneself unspotted from the world. It means to watch out for those who need it, you know? You have to not just care for yourself, but care for those who are lonely and need love.
Hello, my name is Rachel Baldridge, and I have 3 adopted siblings. A lot of you know me as Donnie's wife, but I actually came from a family of 4. One biological brother who's 4 years younger than me, and then when I was 9, my family decided to adopt 3 siblings. We had a lot of beautiful times, but there was a lot of trials during that. But in that story, God's picture of love is what really came through. One of the best moments about our adoption story has actually happened recently. My mom has this really great outlet in blogging. She is able to reach out to other adopted moms who have kids who are really struggling. And recently, she was emailed by someone who was adopted as a teenager. That woman actually sent her an email that really touched my mom, made me cry, so it might make me cry now. The one missing thing in my recovery, and yes, I use the word recovery because I had to recover from the years of torture to myself as well. It was God. You see, I could not understand how this loving person could allow such atrocities to occur to anyone. Of course, at those moments, I didn't know what true, unconditional love was either. I learned who God was and is, and I can still remember the day I chose to let God embrace me. I became a whole person, and He allowed me to forgive myself. What I truly want to say to you is thank you from one of those children for giving us hope and love, but not turning your back or averting your eyes, for making us matter in the turmoil our hearts and heads live with, for the patience and all the hugs. Most of all, thank you for loving us. You truly are God's blessings. With my family, what has really shown is when you don't give up on each other. When times get tough, you prevail and you don't give up. Just like God has never given up on us. That unconditional love is the bottom line no matter what.
Hi, I'm Scott Littleton, and I've been adopted by God.
Hello, my name is Carla Swain, and I have been adopted by God.
Hi, my name is Ellie, and I've been adopted by God.
Hi, I'm Erin Littleton, and I've been adopted by God.
Hello, my name is Brian Lemoni, and I have been adopted by God.
My name is Rachel Baldridge, and I have been adopted by God.
I'm Sarah Lamoni, and I've been adopted by God.
You're my